Hello, here's Niall Charler from the R.S.V.P Management Solutions. Today I will show you the Oracle Planning and Budgeting Cloud Services. I just logged in to PBCS and we see the user interface, which looks quite familiar, as we see the apps as dashboards, task plans and so on. Our application shows international working car rental organization, and I am a controller working in Italy, so I am responsible for all the sales and planning of the entity in Italy. And I just want to do my daily planning tasks, so I just go into tasks and see all the tasks which I am responsible for. This menu shows me all the tasks I am responsible for and all the ones which are incomplete or just are due today or this week or in future. I see, for example, the first task expense plan, which has just started 2 days ago, and the deadline is the 17th of June, so I quite have 2 weeks to end this task. If I want to start with this one, I can just right click on expense plan and open that task just to know what it is. Okay, so I see the total facility service expenses for the whole year. And as we see, the figures from January till November are just filled in. So what misses is the December. And I can just click into any of these cells and type in any figure, which I'm doing right now. And as you see, the cell just changes its color to yellow, which means there is a number, a figure changed and not written into the system yet. So if you think the figures are okay and you can write them into the system, you can just save it and the color changes into white, which means the figures are in the system. Here you see a line which is blue colored. That means we have a supporting detail. So I want to know what is hidden here and how I can type in a figure in this cell. I could do this right here in the sheet as I click into the column data and choose supporting detail. Then there opens the menu for the supporting detail for this cell, and I see this cell is the sum of external IT services and IT orders. So I can just change the figures in here and type it in. So let's do 2000 here and 500 this one and save it. And as we see, the cell which was missing is quite filled with 2500. And it looks like I'm finished with my expense plan. And if I think this is okay and I can show this to my boss, I would just save it again and choose complete, just to mark it in my tasks as a complete one. So if I click close, I see this green check mark for this task, which tells me this task is finished. And I can just work on the next one, which would be submit plan. The submit plan is to tell my boss or who is the next one responsible for this one, as for example the reviewers or any colleagues, you just choose it in the options. They can take a look on my work as well. So I click on Submit Plan, and I see here usually all the entities which I'm responsible for. In my case, it's Sales Italy only. I can define the filter here, which entities I want to see for which scenarios and versions. So in my case, I click on Sales Italy, and I see here the last actions which are just inside, because I have made some quite of changes and told my boss, and he told me okay or not okay. Here in the action, I can choose the one here in action, I would choose usually sign off to tell my boss I'm done with this. Please take a look on that. In my case, there is a reviewer chosen in our company, and if I want to know which one it is, I click here on promotional path, and I see I am the owner of Sales Italy. Martin Rader is my reviewer for the work. He just takes a look, and if it's okay, it will go one level above to the responsible man for sales, for the whole sales, not only Italy. This will be Matthias Tesch, and responsible for the whole department would be our boss Dirk Wemhöhner. So I go back to change the status. I've chosen sign off, and I say everything okay. Please review Mr. Martin Rader. Change status, and as you see, the status is submitted, and here it changed to signed off, and I can choose complete and close this task, and as I see, all the tasks which have started and have a very, very close due date are just done, and the next one starts in 11 July, so I have still 1 month to wait for that one. But just let's pretend our boss told me, okay, you've done the expense plan, but I would like a 10% raise on all the figures. Okay, so how do we do this very quick? I could show you this right again in the expense plan here in the browser, but I want to show you the Smart View plugin for Excel. This is a solution to work with all the data you have here in the application in Excel as well. Very quick and very easy. So we change to Excel. So here we see a very empty sheet, and I am just connected to my application already, so I can choose the form I just have worked with. This would be total facility service expenses. Double click on it, and it opens right away. And as you remember, we have just filled in the figures for December, so these are also in. And my boss told me to raise all the figures for the whole year. So I would do this for accounting and tax services, and I could do this within normal Excel calculation. So pick all the cells and raise it, multiply it with the 1.1. But I want to show you a Smart View planning function which is called Grid Spread. With Grid Spread I can choose the whole year, for example, and tell to raise it for 10% and break it down to all the months. So I would choose the cell for the whole year and go on planning. The planning tab is automatically opened when you're connected to Smart View and to a planning application. So I click on planning and select grid spreads. So I can choose now if I want to increase or decrease the figure. In my case it's increase, and by a value or percentage. Ours is percentage, and tell him it's 10%. I can see the current value was 36,960 and now it would be 4656. So I click on spread and I see the figures are all changed. They are orange and I can save them right away so they're written into the system. And so you see that the total facility service expenses changed as well. So what if I want to make grid spreads only for the last half year? So the first half year is okay, and I just want to raise them by 20%. What then? So I can just choose these figures for the first half year, click on planning and lock them. So with the orange color you see they are locked. I can do a grid spread again and the figures only here in the second half year would change and these would stay. I can also do some actions like comment the cell, and the next user would see, okay, Nahil Chala just made a comment here on this. I can add a supporting detail, which we have here. I can add also an attachment and see the history for this cell. So if anybody in the future would take a review on the cell, he would see the figures which have changed and who did it. Okay, let's go to the next example. Let's just pretend our boss told us to make a quick forecast for the sales units of our product transporter in my Sales Italy entity. How do we do this? We have a very good function called predictive forecast in Oracle PBCS. So I would open that specific sheet. It's called predictive forecast transporter. And I see a new sheet here which shows me the sales units of that product transporter. Here I see the financial year 14 and 15 and see that the figures till June 14 are written into the system, and from that on it's quite empty. So I want to do a quick forecast for the next 18 months. For this I click on planning, open the tab, and here I see the button called predict. Open it and a new tab opens, and I can set up the prediction to tell what is the source data and where do I write in. I just set it up that I want to write in this line, predict, so that if I'm okay with that, I could copy it into working or change the figures again. But right now I just want to do that quick prediction. So I click on predict. He scans the form and I can choose the data range. So we have 4.5 years of data, 54 periods. And I can set up the range for prediction. In my case it's July financial year 14 till December financial year 15, the next 18 periods. So I click on run and it's doing the forecast very quick, and here above opens just a graphical image for showing the raise of it's quite a trend chart. Let's just take a look at the Excel sheet. Here we see that the line of predict just is filled in with data, random ones, and what's more interesting is here below, it's the trend chart for the sales unit for the product transporter for the last 4.5 years. This is my source data, and I see there is a very slow raise in the last 4.5 years of this product. But what is more interesting is that in the months of October and November, every year there is this specific raise. So we can expect that there is a special campaign or something else, that the need of the customers are quite higher than in the other months. And our predict function sees this and analyzes it and just copies it into the future as well. So we see for this financial year 14, we have also a very high difference between September and October. These months are quite stronger in the sales than in the other months. Also for the next year, big difference. So what if I am not okay with these figures? I could change them just right here and says, okay, I think in September 15 that we have 850 units sold. Or I could go here and just by drag and drop change them here. And where do we have this 850? Pull him, think above. So you see the change here. If you are okay with the figures, you can submit the data again. And then they're in the system and you can show them to your boss. So we are finished with this task as well. But I would like to show you one more functionality in PBCS, which is very important for the communication inside the company. We just have seen the approval functionality, that if I'm finished with the task, I could sign it off and approve it and promote it to the next co-worker of mine, so he can review it or promote it to his boss. But what if I am ill or in any case absence of the company? So I'm in holidays, for example. What then? What happens with my tasks? And what if somebody wants to communicate with me? I go back to the application and open here in settings. I can see here this functionality which says I am currently out of office. So if I click on it, I can choose what happens with all the tasks, with all my tasks. If somebody pushes any task to me, I can automatically promote them, reject them, delegate them, submit them. So for example, let's choose delegate, and here I can select the colleague. It's in my case Matthias Tesch, and I can say I am ill for the next 2 days. Please take a look. Yeah, that's it. Save it. And if somebody promotes any action to my task list, Matthias Tesch will get a notice and see, okay, this is a task of Niall Schade and he is ill, so I take a look on it. So that's it for now. We just had a little insight on quite few tasks of a planner in PBCS. We have made an expense plan. We just approved it to our boss so he can take a look and review it. We changed some figures with a function of grid spread and we made a quick prediction for the forecast scenario for a product the next 18 months. And we just tested the out-of-office functionality. So if you are interested in any other functions, because we have a lot more that we can do here in Oracle PBCS, just don't hesitate to ask. Thank you very much for your attention, and goodbye.